Hey guys, welcome back to my channel for an all new episode recap of today's Days of Our Lives, April 11th, 2025. So we start off with this scene between Sammy and Johnny, and let me tell you, like, it's definitely not a dry eye in the house because we get to see. I mean, a lot of us have been watching her character over the years, decades actually, and we know a lot of what she went through, but to hear it more in detail was definitely gut wrenching. It was definitely, emotional, and it definitely could appeal to a lot of people that have been through what she has been through, who have been affected by, that kind of crime, sexual assault and all of that. So it definitely was a great scene between her and Johnny. And, Johnny was definitely feeling all that she's been through. But she said that she's been through therapy and it helped her to open up about everything she's went through and what she has done to other people to hurt them, her family members, the person that she's been with, what she had to do to get somebody to like her. She's been through abuse from high school age, actually. I didn't even know about that because, that was when she was in high school. I wasn't even watching back in the 90s, I guess. But yeah, she was abused by this guy in high school. And, you know, he was into her sister at the time. And she, thought he was into her. And, he was abusive and all that, and it led on to, more toxic relationships. She tried to get her sister Carrie's I guess husband or partner at the time, Austin, to like her. She drugged him to sleep with her and all that, and then she met his father, and then she tells him about what really happened. And she said him and EJ and her have done a lot of horrible things to her, to each other. So it's like she can't really hate him, right? She has a million answers of why she could, remarry him or go have another child with him. Like, she can't really answer that, but she does not wish death on him. And it definitely opened up a lot of, I guess closure, or, some explanation as to what's going on to Johnny. And, they definitely had a good heart to heart. So at some point when she leaves to take a call from, his sister, he's looking at EG, and then he thinks about his flashback with him getting the gun. So at this point we still don't know if Johnny was actually, the one that could have shot his father. I mean, it's a strong possibility, but let's not rule it out, right? So Xander is at the bar with Sarah. He took her out for, this congratulatory drink, for him and Philip taking over Demira. And he's thanking her for her, being instrumental in him and Philip working together. And he couldn't have done it without her. So he's trying to reward her with this, rare pearl necklace or gift or whatever. And he's saying that, his father, he used to do that, for his missus, so he wanted to do the same. So Sarah is declining the gift because she is feeling guilty, and he's like, what could you feel guilty about? You're the most empathetic person. You're the mother of my child, wife, blah blah blah. You're a good doctor. Praising her and all that. I'm saying, oh, Xander, if only you knew, right? I'm tired of them putting Sarah on this pedestal like she's holy, the best and whatever. I'm tired of them doing this whole hearting thing that they do, right? This hearting hypocrisy, that's what I call it. So anyways, she's declining the gift, and he's saying, oh, don't answer that. Maybe you feel bad because, of me and Philip trying to take over Demira. And I know, you have a big heart, but we have to do what we have to do. And I feel bad about EJ being in a coma, but, not really much about Kristen. And now she's in custody for shooting her own brother and all that. So anyways, he says to her, let's, you know, continue the celebration at home. And she's all for it. And then she gets a notification about going to work. So that was it with them. So back to Philip and Kate celebrating, his and Xander's success over taking over Demira. And, Vivian came to crash the party. She's saying, like, where's my cut? Like, what's going on? Like, remember, we had a deal when I forged that letter for you all those months ago that you would ensure that I have a piece of the success. So he said, a lot has happened, and now we're taking over Demira, and it's been complicated. So I have to, channel the money through a shell corporation, all that. So she's like, listen, all I'm hearing is that you're just trying to stall, and I'm not here for that. So if you don't want me to just blab the secret out to Xander, then you gotta just come quick with what I deserve, right? So he's saying, how are we gonna do that, right? So she's suggesting that Philip kills Xander, and he's like, I can't do that to my brother or any other reason for this or any other reason. And she's saying, why not your mother? So she's like, I'm not gonna do that, right? So she's like, but you guys gotta think of something quick because I don't have all the time in the world. So anyway, she leaves for them to really think it out. And Philip is wondering like, what are we gonna do, right? So at some point, Kate leaves and Xander comes in, and Xander sees that Philip was celebrating, and he's like, "Where's other people?" So Vivian comes in, and Xander's like, "What is she doing here?" So she's like, "I'm moving in." So Xander's like, "What's really going on here, right?" So Philip got some explaining to do, right? This is gonna be a big mess. So back to Rex and him finding Kate's gun in the drawer, right? Because he was on the phone, looking for a notepad to write an address on, and he's like, "What is going on here with this gun?" So Roman comes in and he surprises Rex, so he didn't know he was in town, and he said, "I just came in and I just wanted to let mom know that I'm okay, and he didn't have to worry, and it's not EJ, it was some random guy." So they're talking, and he's asking his dad, why would EJ and her have any problems. So he tells Rex that Kate told Johnny that a secret that his dad didn't want him to know. So he fills in Rex on what really happened. He's like, Johnny must be so upset with him and mad at the world right now. So anyways, they talk about the whole shooting of EJ and Kristen being in custody. So Rex is saying, I mean, are you sure that Kristen was the one who possibly did it? Like, look at what I found. So he shows his dad the gun, and Roman was surprised, but he was not too surprised because he knew that Kate always carries a gun. Normally in her purse or in the safe, but not really in the drawer. So, he's like, do you have any idea like what could have happened? Maybe she could have done it. So Roman is having himself a flashback of him putting the gun in the safe or whatever. And that was where it was ending, right? So Chanel and Paulina are having a chat per usual, and they're talking about Johnny and EJ situation. And Chanel was worried about Johnny because of how he reacted to his father being shot, and Paulina understands why he reacted that way because like I don't know how I'd feel if like my father got shot, and after hearing what he did to my mom, like I don't know how I'd react, but honestly, like, I've been looking into, I have something to tell you. So she said that on the night that EJ was shot, she talked to assistant district attorney, and she was looking into reopening the case that on EJ and Sammy, and seeing if EJ can still pay for the crimes. But since it's past the statute of limitations, she's still gonna look into what are the crimes she can really arrest EJ on, or get him booked on, right? So she just wanted to pay for what he did. And Chanel is like, yeah, I mean, she said, don't you want him to see him in jail? So she's like, yeah, he needs to pay for what he did to Sammy. It was disgusting. And it would do Johnny a world of good, some peace. And they're thinking about the baby, and maybe Mrs. Choi would reopen adoption thing, and maybe they can have a chance to adopt Sophia's baby now that EJ is out of the way. And say, even though it sounds the way, like it is what it is with that, right? But I mean, I don't think we know all the story between Sam and EJ and all that, but they're just going off of what just came up. But there's more to the history. Like, does any of them know that Sammy shot EJ at one point too? Not condoning what he did to her, but they were too bad to each other, right? They were two wrongs to a toxic situation. So at some point, Kate comes home to the pub, and she and Roman meet up, and Roman said, Kate, there's something that I gotta tell you. So I guess it's something about the gun, or him, Rex finding the gun, or what really happened on the night of EJ shooting. We don't know. But again, these people have question marks on them. I don't think it's any one of them, Johnny, Roman, Kate. I don't think it's any of them. We just ruled out Paulina, right? And I didn't think it was her either, right? I don't think she has the guts in her to pull off that, right? Well, she did pull that off with Lonnie's father, but again, it's just too out of the park. But let me know in the comments what you guys think about today's episode. I will see you guys next week. Don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe to my channel. I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend.